Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviriyam Karvavahi Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In our last session, we began the discussion on Kenopanishad. As the name suggests, it is the Upanishad of the name of the Upanishad by whom? Kena, by whom? So the disciple has got questions, numerous questions, after thoroughly analyzing the world around him, his own experiences, what he has perceived around him, the world around, and about his own body, sense organs, pranas, mind, intellect, and so on. And now he has certain questions. For that he has come to a guru. He has approached a guru to answer those questions. Now here we have seen earlier, this Upanishad also, it comes from this Samveda, this Upanishad. Now this is the experience of all of us, but very few of us ever sit and analyze. That is how, when we start analyzing, we become a seeker, a spiritual seeker, a adhyatmic sadhaka. Until then, everybody experiences, but they don't question themselves. I've passed through different eras. Now, so many times, so many things must have fallen on somebody's head, but nobody thought of force of gravity. Only when it has to fall on that Newton's head, then you started thinking why it fell and why it didn't go up. So these experiences are there, but we don't bother. We just go with the experience. That is, the era of perception still continues. Then era of questioning comes. Perception, we perceive things, natural things that are happening around the world, the natural phenomena, the weather, the seasons, and so on. We don't question. Then when the era changes, then comes, we start questioning. How does it rain? Why does it rain? How it happens? Why the seasons change? Earlier, summer, then it comes, monsoon is there, then winter is there, then again it comes back to summer. Sun rises, sun sets, seasons change. When the rain falls, those humans in the ancient times, the beginning of civilization, they used to simply take shelter in the caves or under a tree. And when rain goes away, they are again out. Taking it that is what happens. No need to question, or there was no urge to question. Questioning the natural phenomena, and then pursuing that, why it is happening. That is how science is born. And when we start questioning a phenomena called our own self, our own gross physical body, the sense organ, the pranas, the mind, and the intellect, then we become a subjective scientist, investigating our own self, real self. In the very first mantra, the seeker is asking, the disciple is asking, Om Keneshitam Patati Preshitam Manah Kena Pranah Prathama Praiti Yuktah Keneshitam Vachamimam Vadanti Chakshuhu Chotram Kau Devo Yunakti. Devaha Yunakti. So this is the question asked by the seeker, the disciple to his master. Having analyzed all these things, he needs an answer. What is that which powers the mind to alight on the external objects? What is that which energizes or which provokes the prana? Kena prana prathama praiti yuktah. So, this prana vayu and its function, dictated by what? Dictated by whom this happens. Then, vacham, the ability of speech. From where does it come? Then, of course, the capacity, the ability of the eyes to perceive, the ears to hear, and so on. So, how does this divine powers, where does it come from? Because probably this disciple must have come to a conclusion that these things are all inert, insentient. There has to be something that powers this. Something that energizes this, something that powers this, something that gives the ability to perceive, whether it is the sound, the sights, the sense of touch, the sense of smell, or taste, and so on. So now, this particular disciple, this seeker, having done his own analysis, and then he is now without an answer, he needs an answer. So then he has no other way but to approach the right source from where he can get this answer. When it comes to the mind, he has also analyzed that when the mind is not connected to the sense organs, then there is no perception. Mind has to be connected with the sense organs, otherwise there is no perception. So he has also discovered that superior to the sense organs is the mind. Without mind even, the sense organs perception will not be available for our comprehension. We cannot comprehend. The mind has to be connected. Many a times we see, we are staring into the street, somebody is known to us passing by, but our mind is not connected with the eyes as such, though the eyes are open and looking like that, but mind is thinking something else. So it is not connected with that. And therefore, somebody known passes by and we don't recognize because we are lost into some thought. Eyes are open and we are looking also, but we are so lost into our thought that we don't perceive. So then he realized that mind is superior. Without the connection of the mind with the sense organs, the perception will not happen. And then he comes to the conclusion that who is the one that powers the mind? Now, when the subject of mind comes, the first thing is that, okay, we should go and approach a mind specialist. Maybe he should be able to know, some psychologist or some psychiatrist or something like that. But no, he realizes that this is not the job of a psychologist or anything like that. He has to approach a spiritual master to know the truth behind this. So having asked this question, this is what we saw in our last session. Now, having asked this question, the preceptor, the Rishi of this Upanishad, he proceeds to answer. Kshotrasya Kshtram, this is mantra 2. Kshotrasya Kshtram manaso manaham yad vachah havacham sau pranasya pranah chakshuhu atimucha dhiraha pretyasman lokad amruta bhavanti. So Shotrasya Shotram Manasah Manah Yad Vachah Havacham Sau Pranasya Pranah Chakshuhu Chakshuhu Atimucha Dhiraha Pretya Asmat Loka Amruta Bhavanti. So now the Rishi of this Upanishad is not giving a direct answer. So what is the power that powers the capacity of the ears, the speech, the pranas, the eyes? So he says here, it is the Kshotrasya Kshtram, ear of the ear, and then mind of the mind, speech of the speech, and then prana of the pranas, eyes of the eyes. And this is what he says. So this is it is an indefinite answer as such. Of course, the seeker is expecting a direct answer. But then here, there is no possibility of a direct answer. So that which is the ear of the ear, mind of the mind, speech of the speech, prana of the prana, eyes of the eyes. See, that is what is being told here. And then atimucha dhiraha pretya asmat lokat amrutam bhavanti. So now, our perception, each perception has got 3 factors. The first factor is the subject of our perception. Then instrument through which we perceive, the instrument of our perception, and the faculty or the ability of perception. So the object is there, and the instrument to perceive is there, and the ability of our perception, ability of the instrument of our perception. So these 3 factors are involved in this perception. Now, if you look at it, what is our sadhana then? Our sadhana is to grow out of the limitations of the gross world in which we are involved to the sense perception. Now here the Rishi of this Upanishad is not giving a direct answer to the disciple. What is it that allows the eyes to perceive, to see, ears to hear, and so on? He is just giving a very vague answer. With this answer, nothing can be understood as such. Ear of the ear, eyes of the eyes, mind of the mind. What can one understand with that? But then that is how it is. So the first thing, what it indicates is that ear of the ear means what the Rishi is indicating is to the seeker is that you have to grow out of the limitations of the gross world. Because we are so much involved into the gross world. You see, the problem is what you know, until now, whatever we have studied in our schools, in our universities, whatever education we have acquired, whatever subject we may have studied, we have all studied those subjects objectively. So, like we study any particular object, any particular phenomena. So, if there is a pen is there, then we study this pen, its size, its shape, its design, and its function, the material it is made up of, and so on. So, objectification is very common. All our life we have objectified, and that is how we have studied the external world. By objectifying it, its shape, size, color, function, the components and things like that. But then, when it comes to the knowledge of the self, it doesn't work. Because self is not an object of knowledge, unlike all the other things, whether we study the sciences also, whether physics or chemistry or botany or zoology or astronomy, observing the stars and things like that. So they are all studied as an object of knowledge. But here, we are talking about the subject. So therefore, first thing is that what the Rishi indicates is that when he says that it is Shotrasya Shotra, Shotrasya Shotram, so year of the year, that means what we perceive through the sense organs, they are only the conditionings, and the seeker has to grow out of that limitations of this gross world which he perceives through the sense organ. It is not somewhere there. So, what is needed is that, and to grow out of that, the seeker slowly has to be grounded in the present moment, not allow the previous experience to cloud his mind, and nor become the experiencer. See, so now here, having said that, pretya asmat lokat amrutah bhavanti. So, for such a question, there can be no direct answer as what or who is God or what is that absolute truth. There is no direct answer, and it is not possible because it is something that cannot be defined. Truth defined is truth defined. God defined is God defined. It simply can't be done. So, we have to rise above the world of senses. The objectification, we have to rise above that. Of course, one can't be blamed for objectifying everything because that is how we have acquired all the knowledge so far in this world. But then the self is not an object of knowledge. This is where objectification fails. It doesn't work here. And when we acquired knowledge of the world by objectifying it, at that time, of course, the sense organs helped us. The mind and intellect also helped us. But now when we come to our own self, which cannot be objectified, then the sense organs, mind and intellect will have only a limited role, and it cannot comprehend that which powers everything. So, rising above the world of senses. And then, hearing this Upanishad without adequate vairagya will, of course, make this Jnana Yoga very difficult. Therefore, this self-effort is required. So, Atimuchya Dhiraha pretya asmat lokan amruta bhavanti. Now, once we abandon, we transcend, we rise above this sense of I-ness, the ego, I that is identified with the gross physical body, the sense organs, mind, and the intellect. So, this rising above the world of experiences, the world of objects, and the sense experiences, then that dhiraha is the wise, the courageous one, the wise one, the courageous one. He rises, he becomes immortal. Asmat lokat amruta bhavati. So, from this world, the world of senses, he rises above and he becomes immortal. So now, with the question that was asked by the disciple and the answer that the Rishi, the first answer that he gives, from that it is sure that disciple has not comprehended anything much, because this is not a direct answer of the question that was asked to him. What is it that powers the mind and the sense organs? And here Rishi is saying that it is the ear of the ear, eye of the eye, mind of the mind, speech of the speech. That doesn't give any indication of what exactly it is. And then he also says that the one who has transcended, the one who has transcended, the one who has transcended the sense, the world of senses, the experience of the senses, he attains to immortality. Amrutam Bhavati. Now, having said that, why it is difficult now for a rishi to give a direct answer to such a question? This will come up in the second mantra. In the second mantra, the rishi continues, न तत्र चक्षुर गच्छति न वाग गच्छति नो मनो न विद्मः न विजानीमः यथा तद अनुशिष्यात् अन्यदेवं तद विदितत् अथ अविदितादि इति शुश्रुम पूर्वेशाम ये नस्तद व्याचचक्षिरे न तत्र चक्षुः गच्छति न वाग गच्छति न मनः न मनो न विद्मः न विजानीमः यथा एतद् अनुशिष्यात् अन्यद् एव तद् विदितात् अथ अविदितात् अधि इति शुश्रुम पूर्वेशाम ये नः तद् व्याचचक्षिरे. So now he also tells now why it is difficult to give a direct answer. Na tatra chakshuhu gacchati. So there, the eyes cannot go there. Eyes cannot reach there. It is beyond the sense organs called the eyes. It cannot be seen. Na vag gacchati. The speech also cannot reach there. It cannot be described in speech, through speech. Na manah. Mind also cannot reach there. It cannot be felt as some feeling or emotions or sentiments, or it cannot be thought of in terms of thoughts. Na vidmaha, na vijanimaha. So, na vidmaha, na vijanimaha. We do not know. The Rishi is very honest with this. We do not know how to instruct one about this. See, this is the difficulty for a Rishi to, when this comes, the subject is the self. He says that we do not know how to instruct anybody about it. You see, yatha etad anushashat anyadevam. See, so anyadevam, it is distinct from the known and then above the unknown. Tad viditat atah aviditat adi. So this above the unknown, aviditat adi, above the unknown. So it is other than the known and above the unknown. Iti shushrum purvesham. So this we have heard from the ancients, the great rishis, the sages of yore. Iti shushrum purvesham ye nah tad vyachachakshire. So this is what we have heard from the rishis who taught us this. Stated this or taught us. So now, why the answer in the second mantra was kind of indefinite? It is clarified here. Because the sense organs cannot perceive. Why the sense organs cannot perceive? Because all the senses are illumined by the same absolute truth, the pure self, the substratum. And therefore, substratum can't be understood or known by the senses, the sense organs. Eyes can see everything around, but eyes cannot see itself. What we see in the mirror is the reflection of the eyes. It cannot see itself. You see? Then the common example we will always take about the torch and the battery cells. We can see in the torchlight in a dark room everything. But in the same light, we cannot see the battery cells on which the torch is functioning. So now known and unknown, it is with the reference to all the sense perception. What is known and what is unknown. That is what is vyakta and what is avyakta. What is manifest and what is unmanifest. Because here it is said that it is distinct from the known and above the unknown. It is other than the unknown, and it is distinct from the known also. It is other than the known and the unknown. Now, known and unknown is with reference to the sense perception, what is perceived, what is known. Some things we know, some things we do not know. Some things which we have perceived through our sense organs and registered in our mind intellect equipment, something is known. Something having perceived also with our sense organs, we have not yet known that. We see some object at a distance. I see an object there, but I don't know exactly what it is. So it is perceived by our sense organs, but we do not know exactly what it is. That I can see it from a distance, but I don't know exactly what that object is. It is unknown to me. Though I perceive it, it is still unknown to me. So this known and unknown is always with reference to sense perception of everything. That is what is manifest, what is unmanifest. And therefore, this reality is other than the known and the unknown. You see, it is other than the cause and the effect. With the sense organs, mind and intellect, we study the phenomena of this world. The scientists study the phenomena of this world. And all the cause and effect also. We see the effect and then we try to trace the cause. The rains are falling. How does the rain fall? Then we go back, try to trace the cause, how this phenomena of rain happens. Then we see the full moon. We see the moonless night also. We see half moon. Why this phenomena is happening? This is the effect. Then we study the cause. Then we see the eclipses, solar eclipse. and lunar eclipse and so on. So this is the effect. We want to find out the cause, why it is happening so. So this is in the realm of the sense organs, mind and the intellect. And the reality, the absolute truth is other than or beyond the known and the unknown. It is other than the cause and the effect. We have so far studied only cause and effect. Effect is so and so. So what should be the cause? We trace the cause. So, and sometimes the effect is manifest and the cause may be unmanifest. Sometimes both effect and the cause both are manifest. Sometimes the effect is manifest, the cause is unmanifest. Things like that. So, aviditat adhi, that is above unknown. Now we have to understand this above unknown. What can be above unknown? So something which is known to me and something which is not known to me. I am ignorant of something. I have knowledge of something. I am ignorant of something. I know this. I do not know that. So when I say I do not know something, that means I am very sure. I know that I do not know about it. So the knowledge is there of my ignorance very clearly. I am ignorant about that particular thing. I know that I do not have any knowledge about that. I know this thing very well. So I know and I do not know. Now this is other than the known and the unknown. Now when I say I know and I do not know, and I know that I do not know about this particular thing. So both are knowledge. Knowledge, I have knowledge about some things and I have knowledge about my ignorance also of some things. I know that I'm ignorant about some things. So I have knowledge of both. So known and unknown. And beyond this known and unknown, what is it that is beyond the known and the unknown? Beyond the known and the unknown is the knower. Knower of both the knowledge as well as ignorance. Knowledge of certain things and ignorance of certain things. I know about this. I know that I do not know anything about this. So this knower is beyond the known and the unknown. So something is known, something is not known. So this has to be understood very clearly. It is quite confusing. Beyond the known and the above the unknown. So this knower is the only one that is beyond the known and above the unknown. Therefore, truth is other than the known. That is, when it is said other than the known and beyond the unknown, it doesn't mean that it is something yonder. Something is not present here. Because of course the argument is going on, what is it that powers? So the sense organs and everything is there here itself, and therefore the truth has to be here, which powers the sense organs, the perception also. The mind and intellect functions because of that truth alone, that power alone. So it is not something yonder. So that means it cannot be rejected. This truth cannot be rejected at any time. And this world cannot be held on to. Truth cannot be rejected. We cannot get rid of this truth. And the world, however much we may try to hold on to, we cannot hold on to this. So, truth can't be gained. Why it can't be gained? Well, then next, what is followed is that truth cannot be lost also. It is neither lost nor gained. This is this is how the Vedantic language is. Truth cannot be gained, nor it is lost, nor can it be rejected. So that which is always there is no question of gaining it. And that which is infinite and eternal, there is no question of losing it. And that which is infinite and eternal, there is no question of rejecting it. So truth can't be gained nor lost, nor it can be rejected, because our essential nature is that truth alone. You see, so this has to be very clear. Our essential nature is that absolute truth alone. So there is no question of gaining it or losing it or rejecting it, or it is not available now and we have to do something to get it. No, our very existence is that absolute truth. You see, the difficulty of explanation of such a subject, the rishis find. So therefore, Vedanta is very difficult. And without a right amount of vairagya, withdrawal from the external world, it is not possible. So our own pure self is that absolute truth, and therefore it cannot be rejected, it cannot be gained, it cannot be lost, which is always there. So therefore this Brahma Vidya is different than all the other knowledge that we seek in this world. All the other knowledge is related to this world, and it may help us to understand the world as well as to earn some livelihood from this world for our survival. That is there. But Brahma Vidya, that is knowing our own true self, realizing ourself, is completely different. And therefore now we will realize that why the sense organs, mind and intellect fail when it comes to our own self. Mind and intellect has got a very limited role to play in our spiritual evolution. To a certain extent, we need to use our mind and intellect to understand, analyze the world, and also to know very clearly why we cannot be what we think we are. The body, the sense organs, the mind, the pranas, the intellect, and so on. And then when we have analyzed thoroughly that it is an entity beyond all this, then going there, entering that, we have to disidentify, or rather, there is no entry for this sense organs, mind and intellect into that field. So here in this text, Gurudev says that when we have to enter there, like we enter the sanctum sanctorum of the temple, we remove our shoes out, the pair of shoes. So he says this mind and intellect is also like a pair of shoes that has to be removed before entering the supreme reality, before the entering the realms of supreme reality, or rather entering is not the right word to say, before we realize that absolute truth. Transcending, keeping the shoes outside means what? It is simply transcending the mind intellect equipment. Going beyond the mind and intellect. Going beyond the mind and intellect is going beyond all the thoughts also, because thought arises in the mind intellect equipment. So whatever thinking, reflecting, contemplation had to be done, we used our intellect for that. And having completed all that thing, now we have to transcend that itself, the mind intellect equipment. Without transcending the mind intellect equipment, there is no realization of the self. So then our scriptures also talk about something. If it is not the mind intellect, beyond the mind and intellect, what could be? They talk about something called as intuition. Intuition is a faculty, is a understanding or something which is beyond mind and intellect equipment. Is at a subtler level beyond the mind and intellect. So intuition is needed. All the usual methods of comprehending any subject, when it comes to the absolute truth, it becomes useless. The sense organs, mind and intellect have their own limitations. That which powers these cannot be comprehended by these instruments. So this should be very clear. Now, in the second mantra, of course, it was a very vague thing that Shotrasya Shotra, year of the year, mind of the mind, and so on. Here a little bit more clarification that these cannot reach there. By saying so that these cannot reach there, there are other connotations also. Why? Because that which is powered by something, so those instruments cannot comprehend or perceive that which powers it. This is one thing. And another thing is that what we have to understand is that when it is said that it is beyond the senses, the mind intellect, it is also beyond the five objects. That is, it is beyond the form. It has no form, it has no color, it has no quality, no guna. So there is no question of any sound or sense of touch or smell or taste or perception through the eyes of forms and colors. So when it is beyond sense organs, means that absolute truth is formless. Because if it was not formless, if it was with the form, then it has to be perceived. We should be able to perceive with our sense organs. So when it is said that it is beyond that, na tatra chakshur gacchati. So it cannot be perceived means it has to be formless. Otherwise, we could have perceived it with our eyes. So it is beyond na tatra vak gacchati. It is beyond speech. That means it cannot be described in words. It is beyond speech. It cannot be described in words. All our scriptures talk about that absolute truth in terms of indications only. It only indicates what it is, shows the pointers, because it cannot be described. If an entity is there which doesn't have any form, any color, any quality, it can't even be named. So how can that be described in words? Therefore, na tatra vak gacchati. The speech cannot reach there. So therefore, it is very difficult to put it into words, that which is beyond words. So the limitations of speech and the limitations of perception, the chakshu gacchati. So that what it shows is that, what it tells us is that that absolute truth is formless. That absolute truth has got no qualities, no form, nothing, absolutely nothing, and therefore difficult to comprehend. You see, and it is beyond the known and the unknown. It is the knowing principle. So knowing principle, which is powering all the conditionings of the sense organs in the mind and intellect, cannot be comprehended, cannot be known by those very sense organs, mind and intellect. So here a clarification Rishi gives why it is difficult to talk about this absolute truth in terms of words or in terms of objects. Now, having said that, we move on to the next mantra, mantra 4. Yad vachanabhyuditam yena vagbhyudyate tadeva brahma tvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. Yad vacha anabhyuditam yena vag abhyudyate tad eva brahma tvam vidhi na idam yad idam upasate. Now, we have to understand this mantra properly, otherwise there will be some misunderstandings. So, what speech cannot reveal, yad vacha anabjuditam, what speech cannot say, tell us, reveal, talk about it, but that which powers the speech, that which enables through speech to understand, to know, tad eva brahmatvam viddhi, know that to be Brahman. Now, Brahman here, Brahma, we have to understand that it is a working name given to that absolute truth. Because that absolute truth can't even be named. If it doesn't have any form, any qualities, any color or anything like that, it cannot even be named, because all the names are according to the form, color, quality, and so on. Therefore, in our first session, we also saw that a person who doesn't, from the birth, if he's blind, so, and then he has not seen any colors and forms. So then, to give a name to him, he will not know what it is. It is just a name for him. But what object it is, he will not know. You see, unless that object is brought to him, he holds it in his hand and he looks at the shape, and then something he feels like that, okay, whenever you hold this object like this object is called as so and so. Or if some flowers are given, he said some soft petals are there, okay, these are flowers. But then again, he will not know which is what flower. So then he is told that, okay, you smell and see, if you are getting this type of smell, then it is called as rose. If you are getting this type of smell, then it is called as jasmine or something like that. Otherwise, he will not know. All flowers will be same for him. Or soft petal means flower it is. So which flower it is, he will not know, because he has not perceived it. He doesn't know. So when these perceptions are there, because of perception, if somebody has all the five sense organs are not working for someone, then for that person, the world doesn't exist. World of sensory perception doesn't exist for that person. Actually, if more than two sense organs do not function, then it is not worth living also. Two or more organs, if it is not function, someone can't see and someone can't hear. A person who cannot see also and cannot hear also, his world will be limited to smell and taste and some touch, feeling, that's all. And if it is more than two, then it is even worse for him. So, this world of sensory perception, the world of the existence of the world of names and forms is depends on the sensory perception. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. Somebody who is born without this five sensory perception, for that person, the world doesn't exist. But what is important thing is that his existence is very much there. He cannot deny his own existence, though the world may not exist for him because of loss of five sense perception. But his own existence he cannot deny, even if he can't see can't perceive the world around him. So here, Sopadi, truth only can be indicated, not the pure truth, pure self. Sopadi, that is with conditionings. The absolute truth, the pure self with conditioning can be indicated. Otherwise, the pure truth cannot be indicated otherwise. Through conditioning only. Sopadi. In Param Puja Gurudev's life, Swami Chinmayananji's life, he had once asked Taponji Maharaj, his Param Guru, his Guru, that why don't you give this absolute truth, plain and bare? Why go roundabout? it. Why all the conditionings are there? Why these upadhis are there? Why can't we speak about straight away? Of course, when this question was put to Taponji Maharaj, he didn't give him a direct answer. Then he told him, Chinmaya, get me a glass of water, a pot of water. Then he went and got the water for him. And then he showed his annoyance, Taponji Maharaj. Chinmaya, I told you to get water for me, not the pot. Did I tell you to get pot? I told you to get water for me. Why did you bring the pot? Then Gurudev said that, how can the water be conveyed without a pot, without a vessel? Something has to be there to convey that water. How can it be conveyed? So now, water is also gross, pot is also gross. And without that pot, the water can't be, without some kind of container, the water can't be conveyed. Now, Taponji Maharaj told him that we are talking about that absolute truth. That has got nothing, no form. It is subtler than the subtlest, nothing. How can you talk about it? It has to be spoken of in terms of conditionings, in terms of illustrations and examples from the relative existence. It is not easy. It is very difficult. So it cannot be given just like that. It cannot be spoken of that way because na tatra vak gacchati. So it is only pointed out, pointers are given, indications are given, that's all, through some conditionings, through some illustrations, through some references like that. So it is only the sopadik truth, conditioned self, conditioned atma, conditioned truth. Sun's reflection is not the sun. It may be reflected in so many water bodies, but the reflection is not the sun. Our own reflection in the mirror is not our own self. It is only a reflection. So, and sometimes when we go to this hall of horror where different types of mirrors are kept, so we can see our own reflection, very tall, very thin, or very fat. Some funny things in different concave, convex lenses are there in that. The mirror is there. And our shape is quite funny, we see, but it is only reflection. It is not our real self. People go into this hall of mirrors and then they enjoy seeing themselves there. And they know that that is not their real self, what they are seeing in the mirror. So, sun's reflection is not the sun. All that comes under the category of idam. Is this? So, that is all anatma, not self. Idam. Everything that is idam. So, that is not possible. Everything is anatma. Now, absolute is not associated with any of these upadhis. Now, let us take an example. Now, absolute is not associated with any of the upadhis. Its existence is independent of all the upadhis. Okay. But it is spoken of in terms of upadhis through some conditionings. Now, the example which Swamiji has also given, Gurudev has given in this book also. Example, the common example often quoted is of that electricity and electrical instrument. So, there is a bulb and there is a filament in that. And then, for a lay person who doesn't know anything about what electricity is all about, so then a circuit is there, a live circuit is there, a bulb is put into the socket, and then immediately the filament lights up. And then he is told that now this is made up of glass and there is a filament inside, and now it's showing the light. So we can see the bulb, we can see the filament, we can see the light also. But that which makes this light possible, makes this bulb to glow as light, that cannot be perceived. So that which has made this bulb to glow, understand that to be electricity, electric current. So that cannot be seen with our eyes, but only its condition. It is explained to the conditioning of the bulb, the electricity is explained. So, for example, another example, if you can take that, the absolute truth, Brahman, and bhakti, devotion. Now here we have to be very careful. Now when it is said that tad eva brahmatvam vidhi na idam yad idam upasate, not that the people worship. So is Shruti Mata against idol worship? This is the question that comes. Is it against the idol worship? That we have to understand. Now, understanding about this idol worship, the form and that which is formless, we have to understand this very clearly. Let there be no misunderstanding. When Shruti Mata says that Tadeva Brahmatvam Vidhi Nedam Yadidam Pasate. So now we have been worshipping our Ishta Devta, Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Ganesh, and the different goddesses, Devi Mata. So many different gods and goddesses we have been worshipping. And when it is said that Tadeva Brahmatam Vidhi Na idam yad idam upasate, that is being worshipped now. So this will come as a shocker for a person who is a bhakta and from the bhakti marga comes to listen to this Vedanta, then he'll find it very difficult. He'll not be able to comprehend it. He'll not be able to accept it. So what happens to all the upasanas that I was doing all these years? Has it gone to waste? So let us understand this very clearly so that there is no misunderstanding whatsoever. So it is not to deny idol worship. You see, this we have to understand. As it was very clearly said, the absolute truth is explained through the conditionings. Without conditioning, the absolute truth cannot be explained. So, even the forms of gods and goddesses, the form, that also can be taken as the conditioning through which the absolute truth is explained. So, as we have seen earlier also, the spiritual path starts with Sagun Sakar, and then we graduate to Nirgun Nirakar and Sagun Nirakar and then to Nirgun Nirakar. From Dvaita to Vishishta Advaita and then to Advaita, pure Advaita. So it is a slow journey. So here we have to understand this very clearly. And furthermore, on this particular thing, Tadeva Brahmatvam Vidhi Na idam yadidam upasate. We'll continue in our next session. Now, if anybody has got any questions, they may ask.
Vimalji?
No question. No question, please.
My request to everybody that even if you don't question, raise the question. Or if you don't have question, share something, your revelation that has happened during the week after listening to Swamiji's discourse. I am quite sure that there are many openings happen after listening to such a beautiful exposition. So what you share could be everybody's would like to know, you know. So you are adding into everybody's, and this is not a question, and this is not a last 10 minutes Swamiji gives us so that we can converse with him. And for me, apart from Swamiji's discourse for teachings during this 1 hour, this 10 minutes is very valuable to me when I talk to Swamiji. Prakash, would you like to ask something, Nalini, Auntie?
No, not this time.
Okay. So, Swamiji,
Yes.
I promise you that I will never disappoint you. I will not allow the last 10 minutes to go waste, Swamiji. So now, Swamiji, you have been saying that there are 2 marks, Bhakti and Jnana. After listening to today's discourse, even Jnana Marg and Bhakti Marg, they are just beginning. In devotion, in Upasana, Bhakta has to dissolve his Bhaktahood. And Jnani, not the Jnani, but one who is going on the path of inquiry or Jnana, also has to question introspection and ultimately melt his individuality. In short, Bhakta has to die. The one who is a part of this Vicharaman has to dissolve. Both has to dissolve their personality, individuality. And only after that, by whom? That is the subject matter of this Kenopanishad. And one can get the answer, satisfactory answer. Second thing I would like to share is, I was just wondering that so many years of listening to everything, and particularly the last 4 years, you have given a lot of more than sufficient aparoksha bodh. Sorry, paroksha bodh. Sorry, paroksha bodh. Our job is to convert it into aparoksha bodh. Now, this aparoksha bodh can be, paroksha bodh can be converted into aparoksha bodh only by dissolving the personality, whether you are a upasak or whether you are on the process of becoming Jnani. And Raman Maharshi, who has followed this Vichar Marg, he has very clearly, without mincing any words, in all his conversation, Upadesh and whatnot, has said that inquiry, self-inquiry, who am I, is the process by which one who is in the path of knowledge, Vichar Marg, can dissolve his personality. And this is exactly what we have been doing in this Kenopanishad. We have started the inquiry, and we are now analyzing the instruments of knowledge, that I am not this. Right from instrument knowledge to mind, subtle gross body, subtle body. And what will left is I, or pure consciousness. This is what I understand, Swamiji. I think we are entering into very, very crucial, although you said this is the first Upanishad one learns when one starts learning about various Upanishads. But the background of what we learned in last 3.5 years comes to our aid in understanding Kenopanishad. Otherwise, this Upanishad, Kenopanishad is a little abstract Upanishad, it seems so. I don't know what will come hereafter, but at least first two, three shlokas. I was wondering that after learning so much from you in last 3.5 years, what is this? We know now we are not this, not this, not this. We also know what we are. Of course, paroksha. We do not have aparoksha knowledge. But I think the last 10, 15 minutes, what you have been saying, well, it promotes meditation, contemplation, and then the word which you said, this idam. All idams are not me. All idams are not pure consciousness. All idams are not, wherever I can say this, that's not me, Swamiji. Even if I do the contemplation on this idam one word, I'm reaching the steps of self-realization, Swamiji. Because ultimately I have to realize my formless, I do not have form, but still I exist in a purest form. That I have to realize that, Swamiji. And through your teachings, and of course so many, but particularly last 3.5 years, I'm emphasizing again and again. It takes away, sorry to use the word, but all unnecessary things, what we call busa in the mind about the divinity, We have a lot of busa in our mind. I had at least, कि भगवान ऐसा है, भगवान वैसा है, ये. Here there is a clear-cut a highway to reach the destination, Swamiji. This is what I wanted to share with you. And only other day, 2 days back, I was telling Shama. That's short. Please don't consider Swamiji's introduction of Swamiji in our spiritual life by way of these Zoom teachings has happened coincidentally. Years of our devotion towards Satya Sai Baba, Gopal Krishna Swami, they have sent Avadhutananda Swami to us. I have personally, I must acknowledge, Swamiji, I have gained a lot from you, Swamiji, from your teachings, with introducing all these books. And definitely, Ramana Maharshi has said to somebody that when God is happy with the devotion, he sends Guru in a human form and makes him realize that God, Guru, and disciple, they are not three separate. Now I understand what it means like this, Swamiji. I must thank Almighty for giving you to us as a teacher, Swamiji, as a Guru. Hari Om, Swamiji.
Hari Om. So, shall we conclude now?
Yes, Swamiji. If somebody wants to ask anything, Auntie, are you there? Chai Auntie? Who is there as Samsung? Okay, Swamiji. We can conclude.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।